Course, you're watching the Policy Times evening show, Expert Talk, where we talk about the corona crisis and how the world is preparing. Today's special episode and talk is on how the education sector is being impacted by the corona crisis globally and in India. At the same time, we'll talk about how the future will emerge, what will be the future mode of education system and future models. To talk on that, I'm very privileged and honored to share some of the uh, educationists who are joining us. As usual, Professor Ujjwal K. Chaudhary, Pro Vice Chancellor of Adamas University based in Kolkata, he is with us. Along with him, we have Dr. Tabrez Ahmad, who is the Pro VC Galgotias University based in Delhi NCR. We have Miss Roshee. Miss Roshee is she is an assistant professor from Kathmandu University School of Management. And very soon we'll be also joining with Dr. Sindhu Manjesh from Washington, DC. She is a lecturer in journalism from University of Maine. And we have our regular expert, Prashant Tandon, senior journalist. Uh, Now, just to give you a brief about what is happening, what are the news on Corona, latest update on Corona. There are, if you see some data came out today which says that 10 top districts of India is having 40% of the confirmed cases of Corona, and 50 top districts account for almost 70% of the cases in India. PM Modi had a meeting conference call with Council of Ministers and some ministers where he said that the lockdown cannot be removed completely, so it will be removed phase wise. He said that schools and colleges and religious places should remain shut, and public transport should also come slowly. So I think we have another expert who will be joining soon. Uttar Pradesh government today decided that 15 districts will be sealed, and some of them districts are Agra, Ghaziabad, Gautam Buddh Nagar, Basti, Kanpur, Varanasi, Lucknow, Shamli, Bulandshahr, Sitapur, Maharajganj, Meerut, Bareilly, Firozabad, kind of cities. The one of the most striking news of the day is that Supreme Court today directed the government to make the test for free in India. We have been debating and talking on that. That a lot of other companies, whether it is United States, China, they have the testing free. For the first time, Justice Ashok Bhushan and Ravinder Bhatt have requested the government to explore feasibility of making the or reimburse the private sectors. Mostly in India today, private sector is doing the testing. China, after a long 73 days lockdown, they have removed the lockdown. Now, Wuhan would be people are freely moving. Though there are 1,000 new cases have been registered and two new deaths since last couple of weeks, but they have removed the lockdown, giving a signal that China is crisis free. West Bengal government has Mamata Banerjee has denied to ask any or answer any questions related to religious or connecting religion with the COVID-19 cases. That is giving a signal that connecting religion with the COVID crisis is somehow unfair. So there will be travel ban in Mumbai. So after 14, what the striking other news that came is that United States, the President Trump has said that he will look or investigate the funding that is happening, that the United States is giving to World Health Organization, because he is not very happy with the advices given by WHO, and WHO also disagreed with his travel ban request. So these are a couple of developments, and just to give you what is happening across the world as we are talking now, there are more than 14 lakhs 45,000 new cases being total COVID infected cases, 83,000 deaths across the world. United States having maximum number of cases today, 4 lakh. Spain in the second position is with 1 lakh 46,000. Italy in the third position with 1,35,000, France 1,09,000, Germany 1,07,000, China 81,000, Iran. The numbers are increasing. But most striking point that came to my mind, we are talking about the World Health Organization data that America has done 20 lakh testing. So 20 lakh 82,000 testing has been done by United States. Spain has done 3 lakh 55,000 testing so far, which is a tremendous number. In fact, Italy has done 7 lakh 55,000 testing. France has done 2 lakh 24,000 testing. Germany, another striking, has done 9 lakh 18,000 testing. If you see the India's figure, that's a little low compared to the total number of. So we have done around 1 lakh 40,293 testing. So this is the global figure. Talking about India now, there are 44,852 active cases, 472 people have recovered. So with this, I just want to come to our panel, welcoming them. I just want to have the first uh, comment. Maybe I'll start with Ms. Roshee because she's from Nepal. Nepal is one of these surprisingly and uh, positively has less number of cases. It has around 7 cases and no death so far, and it has done more than 2,000 cases. Roshee, your opening statement. What is the situation in Nepal?
Right now, the number of cases, as you rightly said, is only 9 so far. And interestingly, it's not as serious as in other countries, developing countries nearby our neighboring countries,
Right.
which has had faced a very serious challenge in terms of how the numbers have been increasing abruptly. So we don't feel it's a very nice situation at all because
Right.
still a lot of tracing is to happen. So that's in the progress, but we hope, given the kind of lockdown that has been imposed since March 24th, the situation seems to be in control because the borders have been locked down. So I think it could not get very bad if the
Excellent.
lockdown is going to be effectively handled.
Excellent. Professor Chaudhary, I want to, Mr. Professor Tabrez Ahmed, Pro VC, Galgotias University. Maybe if I can have your opening comment that how is Galgotia University is operating under this Corona crisis, and what do you see the level of impact of Corona during in the education sector during the COVID-19 crisis?
Actually, the soon we got the problem. We tried our level best to shift the classes from offline to online, and right now we are holding classes very efficiently. Almost the course is running very efficiently, and everybody is taking very carefully. And also we are having all the meetings happening online, and also we have some the virtual labs. We started the lab works and all. Only challenge is that regarding those courses where the physical presence is very important. For example, the moot courts
Right.
and the other activities, the drafting, pleading, and convincing, all these courses, where you have to have physical presence. In those cases, there is some challenge. But theoretical courses, we are very efficiently we are running online. We are using the LMS, Zoom, and a lot of platform to make it very effective. And also, we are having the plan ready for having the online examination. Very shortly, we're going to organize. So till now, things are very fine, and we are very efficiently running the courses online. One thing is very good because those faculty and students, we are not supporting the online model. They always say it is not possible to run online. It may not be a very effective model. Now they have realized the importance and power of the online media, that we can very efficiently we can run the courses and the lectures online. We can save a lot of time. In our university, we have a lot of people coming from Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, Aligarh, and all daily basis, and they are wasting around 4 to 5 hours daily in traveling. Now they are very happy. They are saying that we are saving a lot of time and money because we can get the comfort of our house, and we can get really the quality of the teaching, and they can use that extra time to their studies. So we have very efficiently shifted the offline mode to the online mode, and till now things are very fine.
Excellent. Maybe Professor Chaudhary, opening remarks, and then we'll open to the discussion. Yeah.
We just had Tabrez talking about what they're doing in the university. But before getting into that, can we have some idea about how in Nepal you were doing the online education? How have you started and what the initial response? You spoke about Madam Roshee. You spoke
Right.
about the health situation. If you could speak about the education part as well.
I do agree to what the previous speaker had to say. What I feel is, of course, given the unprecedented challenge that has been brought about because of COVID, and Nepal is no more an exception. And the impact has been seen in terms of who he rightly mentioned as to how the online teaching delivery has increased exponentially because now it has become more of a necessity which earlier people were not very receptive of, probably because some faculties were more tech savvy, some of them were not very tech savvy. So those were maybe little more hesitant and maybe a little more resistant when it comes to online teaching learning. And it could be also because the way people looked at online teaching learning to be more of an understatement. Maybe there could be some kind of
Right.
miscommunication as to how what could be some of the opportunities that could be afforded by online teaching learning. So that was an initial hiccup, maybe, but because it's just not because of COVID, but because the entire teaching learning has been largely technology dependent right now, and because the whole new order about brought about due to the need for social distancing, the whole idea of teaching learning online has been expedited definitely. And also I think the entire experiment, as he was rightly suggesting, allowing faculties to be at home and allowing the students to study at home at the luxury of their own time, their own flexibility, is definitely is going to create more engagement on the side of the faculty and the students in the time to come. And I think this, if I may be allowed to speak a little more, the entire the experience, because education being a service, the service delivery experience from the side of the students who are the consumers is also going to be very different because now the experience is going to be on a virtual medium and not on a physical medium. The experience delivery is going to change. And of course, it has brought about a lot of challenge. I'm not trying to sound very pessimistic at the beginning, but because you wanted me to speak about Nepal in specific, a developing nation like ours will have a lot of challenges with regard to how how much supporting infrastructures are going to be there. Though there is willingness on the side of the faculty and the students, but the required infrastructure, the kind of infrastructural support may not be there. So people, for instance, I can cite my own examples of my students who have gone outside the city area where they might not be having a Wi-Fi connection. So when they have to use data, which is going to
Right.
be pretty expensive, that
Absolutely.
might also pose as a challenge right now. That has been posing as a challenge. The other thing before I close is about the kind of free resources that we're getting to use in a country like ours, where not all the educational institute will have subscribed to the full resources, learning resources. So when you're using free resources, maybe like for instance Zoom, there is a bigger challenge of intruders um, hacking the system and some intruders getting in, and that is itself working as an irritant. So that could be one challenge. So I see while it has given a lot of opportunity to reconceptualize and revisit as to how we are going to deliver courses online, the digital challenge on our side will still largely remain.
Yeah. Before I move ahead, can I request Tabrez to mute your mic because there is a ambient sound coming a lot. Mute the mic on your left. You look at the left, yes.
Right.
And Roshee
Yeah.
also, if you could mute your mic. So whoever speaks, please
Put your mind.
the mic on the sound. Yeah, coming to, that's a good perspective from both Delhi and Kathmandu, two different universities, what they are doing. I would take the discussion to another level where I would like to look at not just what we are doing, but what is the scenario before the education community, the academic community. So, see, the online, first of all, the challenges of internet connectivity and laptop availability is there. That's a real thing, and I hope that when there is some relaxation of the lockdown and things can be bought, many of these challenges will be overpowered or overtaken, and people would have their resources. But going ahead, there is no option. COVID or no COVID, moving digital is the future, and there is no option. There will be blended learning in times to come. Learning face to face and learning from home or learning from a distance. Once upon a time, the distance education universities or online education universities were looked down upon. All of a sudden, they are in the reckoning, and the edu technologies are on the reckoning. So there are three things that need to be done: creation of content, dissemination of content, evaluation of content. Creation of content. Creation of content from learner side and from academician side, both sides. So learner side, the creation is that they do small assignments, they make use pictures, use videos and all. So that's from the learner side. But from the teacher side, a lot of content, whether it's PPT, whether it's PDF, whether it's a discussion that you do through Google Classroom or through Zoom. Zoom is a bit expensive on the because there is a cost attached to it
Right.
beyond 40 minutes. We know that, and there is also Zoom has a problem of number of people as well, and then the total amount of the capacity of net being used is far higher
Right.
than Google Classroom. But whatever it is, there has to be creation of content by the teachers as well, and dissemination. WhatsApp group, WhatsApp, Zoom we have saved, Google Classroom we have saved. So and there should be also ways and means of developing assessment. Like how do you? There are, for example, in Google Class, there is a choice of a quiz. Every day you can begin with a quiz. Then there are assignments given, and assignments can be submitted online through email, and evaluation can be done. That's simple one. But there are other ways. Examination, open book examination, where examination is analytical, examination is not based on information, not Google label questions, but analytical and application oriented, applied questions. So these are also the things that need to be there, applied, and even some examinations, some schools have started telephonic interviews also, one-to-one telephonic interviews of students as well. Moving ahead, a tech-led holistic solution we have to do, offline, online, both has to be integrated through technology, and it can be done. What we teach offline can be available online. A discussion can be taken online on that. An interactive platform, chat board can be created where the discussion which has happened in the classroom can be brought in. And many universities in the world are doing that. Most assignments are given online normally. So, future is about tech-led, integrated, holistic solution. And people are we are also doing, many people are doing flipped classroom. They are giving the matter through video. For example, I had a class on advertising and public relations compared and public relations features. So I sent a 10 minutes video, compressed video through WhatsApp to the group that was supposed to learn that. And they had seen the video, wrote their question, issued the needed clarification. And when I started the Google class, the questions were ready. I didn't have to tell many of the things. They were already told. So that's good. Then use of MOOCs, use of collaborative distance learning, online assessment and grading, wikis, blogs, gaming, ebooks, audiobooks. These are some of the resources that can be used. The new LMSs are coming, Kaltura or Impartus. Impartus allows recording as well. New softwares are coming, and these gradually, we need to have training the teachers. Merely using Google Class and Zoom is not online education. That's the beginning of it. But there are various other tools. For example, softwares like Comtesia or Reactivity. So these are to be also used. People have come out with study materials using virtual reality and augmented reality. It contextualizes and takes it to a different level. AI-driven chatbots. AI-driven chatbots are very common, and many universities actually use that. So this is another aspect. Apart from online education, we need online internships also from corporate. For example, Consumer 51 is a consumer insight study and consulting company based out of Philadelphia. So two students of ours have joined them online. They're working complete. The task is given online. The research has to be done online. Reports have to be taken. There are WhatsApp chats with some people that they study as a part of the survey, and they'll give me reports. And they're getting paid for it. I mean, it's an internship, 6,000 rupees, something like that, some 9,000 rupees, I suppose. So they're getting paid for it. The country has to gear up. India or other countries all have to gear up for making online an integral part of education along with physical. The traditionalist face-to-face education alone will not survive in the days to come, COVID or no COVID.
Excellent. So, just to put forward some facts, according to your research, online education industry will jump from 247 million in 2016 to 1.96 billion dollar by 2021, and the total number of students who would be benefiting from online education will equally jump from 1.6 millions of 2016 to 9.6 million by end of 2021. Now I'm talking this from the perspective of our, a large number of students who are from the rural India, or who are from the maybe other background, underprivileged background. I want to come with this question to both Professor Tabrez Ahmed and Ms. Roshee. Is that the total number of students across the world are 300 million. Now, from that 300 million, we saw the online industry is growing at 52% during this lockdown. And this will grow as we see. So, this growth will not stop. Maybe it will not grow by 52,000. But can we accommodate 300 million students? What about remote students from India, remote students from, rural students from Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or many other countries? So then, as Professor Chaudhary said, that we have to integrate the online with the offline one. How do you see the impact in the rural India? Yeah, maybe if you unmute it, Professor. I have done it. Yeah, continue, please.
Yeah. So actually, in this entire scenario, the biggest losers are from rural India, because those who are from the poor background, they may not have the system, they may not have the good network, and also they may not have money to sustain the data cost and all. So now the bigger challenge is that we have to develop the infrastructure, reaching the village areas, and also to provide them some support for the instruments and all, so they can also sustain. Because in this scenario, the private universities and colleges, they mostly have the people from the good background, so they are able to survive. But those who are from the government schools, primary schools, also they are fully closed. Now the question is that even some of these schools may not have the infrastructure, even faculty may not have infrastructure to run the classes online. They may not have the content also to deliver online. So the biggest losers are from the rural areas and government school, and especially primary schools, right, who are mostly rural areas. Now the question is that how they are going to make this loss, because now the condition is that we have to extend the entire closure maybe a few weeks or few months. In those scenario, and government is saying let us have all the examination in time. Study Ministry had a meeting yesterday, and they have given the lot of the calendar that nothing should be delayed, and we have to shift online, and then we have to run the entire process. In this process, if we are going to follow the timelines and have the examination in time, and then next enrollment in time, in that case, just by passing the promoting to the next class will be hampering their learning process in future. There will be some gap in their life. They may not have learned some of the content, and they will be affecting their future growth process. So in the entire process, people from rural India and poor backgrounds, and they mostly government schools, they are the biggest sufferers.
Absolutely. Ms. Roshee, your comments on this? How do we provide education to rural India? And how is it happening in Nepal?
I do agree with Dr. Ahmad because I think I brought about this point in the very beginning. This particular point about is going to definitely create a very clear dichotomy between the rural and the urban Nepal, or even in India for that matter, because as I said earlier, there has not been a lot of emphasis by the government to kind of invest on the digital infrastructure. Because if you even talk about Nepal,
that was my next question actually.
The amount that's going to be spent on education is hardly 8%. And among that 8%, the amount that's spent for digital infrastructure is going to be very mere percentage. So in terms of how much have we spent in kind of developing IT professionals, or even in terms of training, educating our faculty members, that's going to be a key challenge, as Dr. Ahmed also rightly pointed out. So the challenge is going to be something that only the schools cannot take up probably. So it's the government, I think, they who have to think about investing not just in the physical infrastructures. Of course, the investment has been made in buildings and library, but given the change scenario, this would require a lot of bigger investment in the IT
Absolutely. Professor
infrastructure.
Chaudhary, I would come to you with what are the solutions then? Large
No, no.
section
I
of
would, I would, I would request Prashantji to speak on the district and the rural challenges and the challenges of the people at the grassroots, their
right.
educational challenges and all that. Prashantji has a far more grassroots knowledge than me, being a journalist and also social activist. Can I request Prashantji to speak?
See, I was listening to all of you, and very wonderful suggestions were coming. But the problem is that we are already a country with hugely vertically divided between haves and have-nots, and that gap has to be bridged. What I fear is in a scenario like this, the gap would further expand. And student community all across the world, 91% student community is affected by the COVID-19. It's a huge number. And mostly those students are in rural areas, those students who are in dependent on public education system. They are not able to cope up with the gap which will happen 2, 3, 5 months gap, this session, entire session. And tomorrow's scientists, tomorrow's talent for the world, tomorrow's Nobel laureates, tomorrow's doctors, tomorrow's workforce is in college and schools at the moment. So we need to preserve this and to bridge those gaps. All these LMS, etc., it looks good, for the universities, as Professor Chaudhary and Professor Tabrez, is managing. But India has 500,000,000 internet population. Internet penetration is 500,000,000.
Right.
That number may be very exciting, but 500,000,000 quality of internet. These 500,000,000 people do not have the quality of internet as we have. Then having internet is one issue, and then having some equipment, a good mobile phone or good laptop, is something else. So there is a huge gap in that area to go for LMS and to go for digital learning system, uh, ensuring inclusivity in the education system. A and B, that India already has around 3% investment of GDP in education sector. That also needs to be revised along. I would say that Nepal is better than us. Nepal spends some 5% GDP to educate in public education. We are reducing that. Every year we are reducing that number. So that would be a big challenge. The other good suggestion which I wanted to give to government, I'm just concluding in 1 minute, that government has, under Disaster Management Act, they constituted 11 committees, empowered committees, to deal with COVID-19 crisis. I would suggest through this platform that Prime Minister and the government should also constitute committee for the post-COVID impact on education, healthcare, civil rights, how the judiciary is going to be run, how the education system going to be run, how the employment needs to be generated, for the future. So these task forces should also be constituted with some experts, and they should give their recommendation within 5 weeks, 6 weeks time, so that immediately the plans can be rolled out. Because the moment the more we do delay, the gap between haves and have not will be widening every day.
Absolutely.
So that's what I wanted to say.
Professor Chaudhary,
Yeah.
you wanted to say something. Maybe on
Yeah.
solution front, if you can give some
Yeah.
recommendations.
First of all, I agree. The digital divide is extreme in the country, in our countries of South Asia, because of the changing system and changes and diversified class system and all that. Having said that, at this point, merely lamenting on the poverty of resources will not sort out the matter because the problem is there up on the face. We are just facing the problem. So we have to come out with solutions. So there is another line of webinars that I participate apart from this, where only school principals come. And there are some principals who are from rural India, and they have given very unique solutions. They are only using WhatsApp and telephone because the students do not have laptops, and they are students of class 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, these smaller classes. So they are only giving instruction on phone and on WhatsApp groups, and they're following the instruction in some manner, clicking pictures of whatever they're doing. I'll give one example. The science book has 20 chapters. Each chapter is being turned into a model through an instruction given on the WhatsApp group. And even middle class, lower middle class, even poorer children using only paper, board, art, and small things which are available at home or nearby. They're making the models, clicking pictures, and putting it on the WhatsApp. And the teacher is evaluating that, giving comments on that, asking questions. Others are also, excited about what he has done, what have I done, and things like that. So there are unique ways of finding solutions in the short run. But in the long run, the nation's digital divide has to be breached. And the availability of data cheaply, availability of what do you call tablet, low
Right.
cost tablet,
Mhm.
and there has to be at certain time, if you remember, certain leaders like Akhilesh Yadav had even given tablets, some 18 lakh tablets he has given, something like that,
Right.
to people. So the way leaders get popularity by giving cycles to people, now the time has come to give tablets to children and free of
Excellent.
cost from the government. So that will bridge the gap to an extent.
Should be
Having
encouraged.
said that, the very nature of digital learning is that you must first engage, then debate, then assess, and give feedback and take feedback, because it's two-dimensional. In classroom still, one can talk for a long time and then student can ask questions in the last 5 minutes, but here it has to be an ongoing interaction. So the issues have to be raised to engage. The platform has to be engaging. So WhatsApp, which is not an edtech, has become a popular platform for now delivering education. Zoom or Google Class is edtech, but Zoom is not technically an edtech. It's for any meeting, but it has become a popular platform today. So engaging, debating, then assessing the progress, and then giving feedback both ways. So this is necessary in thinking beyond the clock. In classroom, traditional education is clock bound, so time bound. Here, also we should take timely classes, but the interaction can spill over beyond classroom and beyond the digital classroom. So thinking beyond classroom is also
Excellent.
important and will be important.
Excellent. We got a couple of suggestions on the front that how we need to reach out to the digital, we need to reach out to the rural India. The other important aspect that is to my mind now that FICCI has done a research recently which says that India is short of 250 million skilled workforce by 2022. That's one. The other perspective is that due to COVID-19 crisis, we saw the 40 crore Indians are jobless, and now post COVID-19, we need to revamp the system. Not only we need to create a job opportunity for those 40 crore people, they need to come back to the factories to the work. On the other hand, we are promoting online education. Can online education impart skills in the people? Because unless they are skilled, employment remains a risky task for placement officers. On this front, may I ask the panelists that how do we promote or impart skills through online education?
Actually, it will be a great challenge to provide skill orientation because of the online model. Because in a classroom setup, we have to build up their personalities, we have leadership qualities, and then we have to encourage them to participate in the discussions and bring out the original ideas That is, of course, is challenging to find out same standards in the online model. So, if you compare on the skill orientation model, the online teaching will be definitely challenging than to get the real output than the offline model. So that's why we always talk about the blended model. We cannot shift entire thing to the online model. So blended is one of the best idea because only some of the content you can deliver online. Remaining part must be offline. But definitely because of the COVID issues and all, we do not have any scope to have the offline these lectures. If it will be having a longer period and we have to have examinations in this period, it will be a gap in their skill orientation. But if you get some time, for example, before the examination, if you get 15 days, 1 month time to bring those contents where we can build up their personality and skill orientation, then we are not going to lose anything. But if we go into a longer period, there is no scope, and we have to just have the scope only for making them to learn the online and only content-based learning. This will be challenging for those courses where we have to focus on the professional, for example, the law courses, business courses, and all, where we are focusing more on their skill orientation. For example, for a lawyer, he should be having this chance to speak and also listen to the other people speak, and then have chance to judge, where he can increase the research ability, presentation ability, defending the case, and all. So that is very challenging to get the same standards in the online model. Same way somebody is trying to create leaders, he's running a business education. Only by providing the online content, he may not be able to achieve that particular standards. So, if we are shifting the entire thing on the online mode, it will be definitely challenging for those courses where skill is the main focus area for building them their capacity and become their competent to run the profession.
Absolutely. Professor
I
Chaudhary,
just,
you wanted to
yeah,
add?
I just wanted to tell, at least in law, it is still manageable to an extent
Right.
because law is knowledge based, arguments, and you can have a Zoom lecture where arguments, counter arguments can be there. And by the way, judiciary is already functioning digitally now. In hearings are being taken digitally already, so still manageable. The real problem will be lab based subjects,
Absolutely.
engineering lab based, or sciences, or shooting where you need to do shooting, studio based. So there the challenge is extremely strong, and we really need to find manuals we are developing. By the way, I am dean of media, so I have a problem of teaching software online. I have a
Right.
problem of teaching editing or camera work online. So
Hmm.
we are developing videos of the faculty they are talking, then manuals we have made point by point, first step, second step, third step, then some online videos we have found from YouTube which explain the process very simple manner, and we are sending it. But this is not a solution because even the students do not have the camera or the editing setup at their homes. So they
Right.
need to actually, whatever they're learning need to be practiced. Softwares we are sending and they are downloading the software and practicing. But there is a challenge in that in a major way. So skills would have a challenge, and Tabrez sir is right on this point that there has to be a blended learning, and that was my point. Even post-COVID, digital cannot be forgotten. Just as today, the physical cannot be forgotten. The physical and the digital have to marry each other, and there has
Right.
to be a blended learning in future. And without that, we cannot progress. I think Madam had something to say.
Yeah, Miss Roshee, you would like to add?
Just wanted to add on the lines spoken by both the professors. So definitely, this particular online delivery is not going to act as a substitute. It's just going to be supplementing to what we already have, and whatever we've been practicing on a blended form, even with in our context in Nepali universities and business schools. We are already practicing blended form of educational delivery, where we have our own virtual classroom MOOC module, sorry, where we can actually give assignments, give feedbacks, um,
এটা
grade
কিসের আওয়াজ
them.
হচ্ছে বন্ধ
So
করতো?
everything is possible. But having said that, the whole the advantage of online interaction, and especially when Ujjwal Chaudhary mentioned about Professor Chaudhary mentioned about lab-based certain domains which require you to have a physical presence, field-based field experimentations, those cannot be substituted by in a virtual medium.
The last portion I want to come actually. maybe Prashantji can take this question, and then we'll come to the panel. Is that, we saw when the digital social media was emerging, we were very positive that this will transform, this will give freedom to everyone, and this will transform our society. We saw the kind of damage social media is doing. Coming to these online platforms, any graduate coming out from the college can start an online education or edutech. What is the level of fact checking, data credibility, and kind of history? Like everyone can start interpreting history in their own language. Now, any college guy coming from IIT or coming from any college or universities can start. Now, Tinder, TikTok, they are leading, and the youth is totally engaged to it. How do we do the fact checking and data credibility? Maybe Prashantji, if you can start.
See, internet provides a democratization of education also. It has negative things. It has lots of positive things also. And if there is fake news, if there is a propaganda, if there is a vicious element, toxic element in the internet, then the same internet is also being used to to decode those by fact checking. How to expose these lies, how to expose these propaganda using fact check tools. So internet has got both the things. My only concern is that as Professor Roshee was saying, that this can be a substitute. The other concern is not only just the Indian part of it. It applies to the entire world also. We not only just need good engineers or good doctors or good mechanics or good technicians. So professional skill is one part. We also need responsible, future-looking, inclusive, ethical citizens. And this gap has to be filled by the education. Primary objective of the education should be to make a better human being. Then to that human being, you create doctors, you create technical professionals, you create educationalists, journalists, all filmmakers, all kinds of people. So how this gap is to be filled when 80% of the people is out of the periphery of this LMS based system. So my concern would be that this is the time gap arrangement during the COVID thing is a good thing. That is why I said key government must look into forming a bigger committee and work out immediate recommendation so that in future plans this should not be meant for only those people who have resources with them. Yeah. Otherwise, our 80%, 90% population will be left behind for a very long time to come.
Agreed, and that's a very major concern. And as you have rightly said, around 2.9% is our educational budget. Good to see that Nepal at least has 8%, but India's situation is really bad. Having said that, as you remember, long back, Kothari Commission has recommended 10% of the annual budget for education. If not 10, at least 7-8%, like Nepal, or minimum 5% plus. And this additional money can be totally given to bridge the digital gap. So if 2 to 2.5% of the budget of Indian government, central government, plus the state governments also, I must appreciate here that some of the state governments, Tamil Nadu, Bengal, Delhi, and Kerala, they have between 6 and 25% the education budget. Only Delhi has 25%, but many others have 6, 8, 9 state governments, which is very appreciable. So certain percentage has to be given for bridging the digital divide. It's very clear, digital is not a fad anymore. That was my basic point. Digital is not a fashion anymore. And digital is not about TikToks of the world. This is a survival tool now going ahead. In times of endemic, pandemic, or growth of the economy, this will be a survival tool. And every man on the street, up to the interior hinterland of the country, has the right to be digitally connected, just as not just WhatsApp connection for creating a WhatsApp university of fake news, but digitally connected right. It's a fundamental right to be digitally connected. That was the point, and we really post COVID or even during now, there has to be a movement of the civil society. You are right, Prasanji, the government should make a task force for that. But you and me as civil society should raise the demand of fundamental right to be digitally connected. Because this digital division of the society, of the haves and have nots of the digital world, have to be bridged. Just as we need food security, health security, we need digital connectedness going ahead.
Absolutely. Professor Ahmed, I want to
I
come to you with
think,
the same question.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that regulations? Do you think now that CBSE or are the regulators like CBSE or ICSE or any state boards are intervening in the quality and facts of the digital players? And what kind of format should it be?
Let me first answer your first query you asked to Mr. Prashant regarding the fake news.
Yeah.
In fact, the biggest challenge of the world is right now the fake news. Because keeping in mind the nature of the technology and internet and all, it is sometimes very challenging to find out the source of the information. Because right now generally we talk about the clear net, which is only 4%. But we forget to talk about the deep net and dark net, that is 96%. And all the wrong things are happening from the deep net and dark net. And currently in the global level, there is no regulation to regulate the deep net and dark net. In fact, because I'm my area cyber law and IPR and the cyber security, I was just reading one article. Now you can buy the sample of the COVID infected person from the deep net and dark net, and you can get within 1 hour. Okay, and the person who is selling, person who is buying, you cannot catch because it is the forum shopping. The shops are created in 1 hour, and shop will go in 1 hour. The buying and selling will take place, payment will be done. You cannot catch. So what is happening? Those people who are the cyber criminals, sometimes it is intentional as a political issue, sometimes for the money, sometimes just a ransom and all. It starts from the deep net, and because of the technology, because of this nature of the technology, and there is no regulation globally, there is challenge to regulate the fake news, and this is the biggest challenge of the world right now because the rural people who are living rural areas, they are very less educated. So Ujjal was talking about this WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is a nuisance right now because people who are not aware, whatever they will read, they will think it is a fact. And sometimes the person who is sharing, he strong believe that it is a fact because he has no the place to and cross check the information that whether it is true or false. So it may happen politically, it may happen for the news, it may happen also for the kind of the knowledge because if you are depending on the WhatsApp, even the faculty may be getting some information in the WhatsApp. It may not be true, and he is sharing to his future students. They'll be imbibing the wrong culture, wrong knowledge, and they had defective learning. That will be going to spoil his entire career. So that's why fake news is very serious challenge. We should regulate properly, and government can play a very strong role because giving somebody a website, even in clear net area, and then what content they are posting is very important. Last we have seen the Supreme Court of India came forward, and they have said specifically that anybody putting anything about the COVID, he has to put only true information because people go on putting anything that you can use this one, that one is good for the COVID and all. This is the current issue, but it is always happening that on the WhatsApp you get a lot of information, and it is mostly challenging to find out the facts. It is a very serious issue, and government should make very strict laws to regulate this what is flowing on the WhatsApp. Yeah.
Excellent. Ms. Roshee, I want to come to you. Are there any fact checking or regulatory assessments in Nepal on the online education platforms?
I guess the entire of South Asia, the issue is with
Right.
the access and the productive use of online resources. So we don't have any mechanism, as for my knowledge concerned. What I feel the problem, just to add on to what Dr. Ahmad was speaking earlier, the issue is find the use of internet for social media purpose has gone drastically. People who can barely read and write can still use Facebook and all those different kinds of social media. But given the topic of our discussion, the use of these kind of learning resources, or sorry, the internet for learning purposes is very minimal compared to social media use. So therefore, the whole the exercise or from the side of the government, I think there should be some kind of simultaneous preparedness and also preparation. First, the preparation and the preparedness from the side of the policymakers, from the teachers, from the learners, as to how they can make it more engaging. So, with no mechanisms in place, and right now the entire how the online delivery is going to look like in days to come, given that we talked about the digital divide, technology divide. And one more thing what I wanted to add, which I missed out earlier, was even when you talk about education, the delivery across all the levels would be very challenging. Like if the online platform is going to be more engaging at the higher level, higher education level, may not be the case with the very primary and kindergarten level. The same technology, the same kind of resources may not be
Right.
very useful. So while we looked at the rural urban divide, uh, the how can we ensure that learning platforms, online platforms, are going to be equally effective across all the levels is also going to be another challenge. So right
Absolutely.
now, I think it requires a lot of rethinking on our part as to how what could be the kind of potential educational outcomes that we are seeking from these learning resources. Right now, for me, it looks like a blank canvas, and which will require some bold strokes sooner or later.
Excellent. Maybe I'll come to Professor Chaudhary on that. Now, there's another phenomena we see every year. 6 lakh students travel abroad for higher education, for MBBS education, for MBA, for any technical educations too. Now that has been massively disrupted. Now, how do you see the academic calendar emerging out of the COVID crisis, and how do you think this industry again re-emerge?
If I had clear answer to that, I would have earned a crore of rupees from the education industry just now.
Right.
Because nobody has the answer to the calendar challenges and the things that you've raised. Having said that, it is fact that a large number of students who is to move, for example, from Bengal, the province from where I'm talking, it's interesting to know that we are talking to 3 or 4 states, cities, and 2 countries here. By the way, before I continue the answer, I just a little earlier I got a message from Dr. Sindhu. There has been a huge storm in Washington, and her Wi-Fi connection and everything has gone off. Okay. So therefore, she could not get connected. Mm-hmm. She is interested to come in another show sometime later, just for reference. Coming back, from Bengal, around last year, around 65,000 students went out to different parts of India and different countries, mainly US, but a few in New Zealand and Australia and UK as well, Canada as well, but largely US. And different parts of the country, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, and all that. Now, these large number of students this time won't be moving. 2, 3 reasons. One, the fear psychosis of COVID continuing because it won't vanish overnight. It has come at a jet speed, but it will not go away at a jet speed. And there are second cycle and third cycle possibilities. So that's one reason. People are scared if there is a lockdown, if there is an infection, away from home is a risk thing. Second point is the average income of the people will go down. Economic Times has already mentioned 72 lakhs, 7.2 million people in the organized sector have lost jobs in India in the last 10 days, which is a phenomenal number, very big number, even though India is a large and highly populated country. And migrant labor is beyond consideration. Numbers are also not there. The newspapers, English newspapers, or the regular media doesn't even look at them, except picture of opportunity. So there is a huge amount of migrant labor, and 72 lakhs minimum is the organized sector. So there will not be purchasing power in the hands of the people to go out and spend more what they can get, the degrees that they can get in their own states, own cities at a lower cost. So therefore, we are looking at the problem of admission, problem of marketing is there. Newspapers are fruitless, almost like worthless just now because the reach of the newspaper has gone down tremendously, though my friends in newspaper will not accept it. And the television is being watched a lot, but there is no new content because no new shooting is happening. So old content, even the news is also largely static news, sitting in the studios and all. Very few real reporting is happening from ground. The digital is the only way. So there are challenges of admission, and on the other side there is opportunity of admission also. How does a university really manage to tackle this is the issue now. So we are looking at a huge loss. I mean, international travel will be low, much lower. Even within the domestic market also, travel will be less. But what I'm seeing another opportunity. I'm seeing an opportunity. Just now we have, as our university, Adamas University, we have just now tied up with Coursera. Coursera provides 1,000 courses, small courses, in addition, in collaboration with more than 30, 40 universities of US, and even Harvard and Columbia and all that. So we made a tie-up, which was a blanket tie-up, under which any faculty, any student can do a course, up to a maximum of 3 courses per person. And I find that a large number of faculty have started doing it. Some students, few students have also started doing it. So what I'm seeing going ahead is a collaboration, global education online and domestic education offline, there will be collaboration. So
Excellent.
our student will be doing a master's degree or MBA degree in management in Adamas, and will also be doing 3 diplomas from Harvard through Coursera or directly with Harvard, and with a little cost. So we will take a bulk membership or subscription or something like that, and the cost will be reduced. So I'm seeing this very important factor. The urge to have a foreign degree, diploma or certificate will not vanish. So therefore, global education online with domestic education offline, this will be there.
Excellent.
Obviously, these are all challenges for the lower rungs of the society where digital divide is there, but we have already noted that, and we do need a social movement on that. Before I end, one more point I would like to note here, that there is this, Google has come out very quickly, they have come out with a concept, yes, G Suite Advanced Hangout, they have made it free. For a while they have made it free, by which 250 can join a class. So one single batch or even 3 or 4 single batches can come together. And very interestingly, live streaming can happen to 1 lakh. Sometime earlier in another debate, Prashantji was talking about digital jantar mantar. So आपको G Suite ने opportunity दे दिया. अब digital jantar mantar कर लीजिए. 1 lakh लोग, if you have a reach of 1 lakh digitally, you can bring 1 lakh people at the same time through digital, through G Suite Advanced Hangout. And you can give the point of view, or 5-6 people can give the point of view, which can be hard, learned, known, and even feedback given by a lakh of people, if can be managed well. In fact, I would sincerely want the civil society leaders of India, and you are connected to more than 70, 80 of them maybe. So there should be a digital interaction among them to create this digital bridge, to to bridge the digital divide. There should be an interaction that you have talked about. I really like the concept of digital.
Absolutely, we should do that. I think in upcoming episodes we'll do that. Professor Ahmed, I want to come to you. A lot of students come from abroad at Galgotia and many such universities. Now, especially from Africa, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and all. That's certainly going to be challenging for you.
A very good question, because I was just reading the QS report. QS is running a research from last 2 months when the moment the COVID started. Right. And they have done survey around 25,000 students who are currently studying in foreign universities. Now what I see, a lot of opportunities for Indian universities who provide quality education. Because see what is happening, people have no confidence in the university system, that they feel they can get quality only in the foreign universities. Sometimes it is true, but sometimes it is not true. Because even if you go to the foreign universities, there are the universities who are even lower standard than our state universities. But people, because of the social kind of recognition, they want to go to the foreign universities, and nobody knows what kind of quality they are provided in the foreign universities. So what will happen now? People, I agree with the usual, that people will be now fearful to go to the foreign universities, because nobody is very clear how long this problem will carry. So at least this year admissions, the people who are going to the foreign universities, they will be searching in India a university which is providing the comparable quality education that they get. So at least in India, those who are top universities, now they are going to get quality students, and they have now scope to even also raise their fee. Because if you want to go to Oxford for a LLM program, 1 year LLM program, you have to pay 40 lakh rupees. And in India, nobody is charging more than 2 lakh rupees. So it is around 20 times difference in the kind of the pricing. But why they are paying 40 lakh rupees? Because we are going to get a quality education. And the main thing is that we are going to interact with people from throughout the world. The kind of composite culture you develop, you know about them, you know all the processes, systems, these legal standards and all. That is not possible right now in online model. So it has two challenges. One is that those who are trying to go to the foreign universities, they may not be going because the issue is that there is no clarity. When it is going to start the opening the foreign borders, when flight will start, when booking will start. Second thing is that all the foreign universities they are struggling to organize two tests. One is that they have to test the language. Anybody going to foreign universities, he has to pass a language test. Second thing is that those who are aspiring to get the scholarships, because the scholarships are all the examinations are on hold, nothing is happening. All the lines are crossing. So those who are the bright students who could have got the scholarships because and also they could have qualified the language test examinations to get admission in the foreign universities, they're struggling. Now they're trying to get a good university in India. So for Indian universities who can provide the quality education, for them with the chance to get a good quality. Second point is that those are already studying in the foreign universities. Suppose somebody is doing MBBS or 4 year engineering program or law program, they just passed 1 year. Now they're in second year, third year. For them, it is very big challenge. Some came back to the country, some still held up there. Now the point is that now parents are raising the question that if Harvard is shifting their education in the online mode and somebody is getting only online lecture by sitting in India, why they will pay a very heavy price to Harvard? Because Harvard is Harvard. If you attend classes in the Harvard campus, the kind of feeling, interaction with the foreign student, foreign faculty in the library, and the ambience, the kind of learning will happen. It will enrich your personality. It will never happen in the online mode, sitting in a room in this lockdown period and getting the lectures. So it will be raising the pressure on the foreign universities. How and why they will charge so heavy price? What they're providing? So there are a lot of kind of challenges, and I see a lot of opportunity for Indian universities to retain the talent which are going to the foreign countries. And this is a time to build up the confidence. And best example is Jindal Global Law School.
Right.
What happened? They are charging 40 lakh rupees for a law degree, and other universities are charging highest just 18 lakh rupees. So there is difference of more than double, but people are happy to go and pay because they're trying to provide an option in the country that you can get the same quality what you can get in the foreign universities. Because people they have proved the potential, people are now believing. Other universities now they have to provide good quality. For them, I see there's a lot of chance and opportunity to showcase their potential and provide the quality. In future, those people who are trying to go to foreigners and those parents may take an option to retain and stay back in the country. For
Right.
example, Galgotias. So we have the students from more than 12 foreign countries that are studying in our university. And they're mostly from the African countries, Nepal, Bangladesh, and African countries. Uh,
Absolutely. I think there is internet issue with Professor
Yeah,
Ahmed. Any
sorry.
comment, Ms.
also
Roshee?
from this Thailand and all. So, and we have a scope.
Right.
We have a scope to provide quality and even provide the better standards. Yeah.
Taken, sir. No points noted. Professor, Ms. Roshee, do you have any comments on this overseas education? Then I'll come to the last question and we'll conclude this session.
Just to add, and just a quick comment. Yes, in Nepal, if you look into the educational scenario, if you just sharing one data, among the top destination, Australia happens to be one for Nepal students. So currently, there are around
Right.
roughly 56,000 students going to
Absolutely.
Australia for education. So imagine the kind of surge of students going abroad. Definitely, this COVID crisis will affect. And as he was rightly suggesting, the QS survey has also shown that almost 50% of the students have decided are kind of rethinking about the decision to go abroad. So in that context, I think the local universities are to win. and it's going to be an opportunity in disguise. And apart from the educational institution, as we were also talking about, we've been talking about the learning resources and the infrastructure. So I think it's an opportunity that even the IT personals can use, because they can develop the kind of software that is going to be required, more customized, because some kind of free resources like Zoom, which were originally meant for corporates. So probably a time has come where the IT developers can get this, take it as an opportunity to develop resources which is more customized to education.
Excellent. Prashant Tandon, this corona crisis is not going to stay here for lifelong. It is going to get over, and the sooner it better it is. Now, what is the future of education? Do you think is going to emerge, and what role different players are going to play? And with this, your closing comments basically. We'll close the session with this.
Corona crisis will be over in a couple of months, 6 months from now, 1 year from now. But it will leave the impact for a very, very long time to come. And those impact would be felt greater in education and empowerment, and much more greater for vulnerable section of society like women. So when we talk about digital divide, when we talk about the dropout rates of education, when we talk about inclusivity, the first casualty of the any program would be of the women students, female students. So we have to take everybody along. Number one. Number two, during this period, government should give some financial package to the students. At least they can pay their host or waive their hostel fee and tuition fee, everything for next 6 months. Whatever less it may be, it should be waived, because families will not have income to spare money for education, even if they are government sponsored universities. Family would not be in a position to spare money for education. Their first priority would be to survive, and first priority would be the food and shelter. So this, for future, as Professor Ujjwal said, we need to bridge this digital divide as soon as possible at the war footing level, so that everybody should come on the same page. Newer method, innovative method of education should be devised, but with the rider always that we have to take everybody along. And about the fake news, Professor Tabrez was saying, my take on fake news is I don't blame technology. This fake news propaganda is not created by technology. Technology is only a tool. This is a sociological and political problem. 90% of the fake news is generated by political outfits for their political purposes.
Right.
So we,
if we can control that,
to solve this problem rather than technology.
Right. Absolutely. Professor Chaudhary, closing comment. How do you see? What are the long-lasting impression this COVID-19 crisis is going to keep?
The demand for education will go up in the society, and demand for higher resources, particularly digital, will come up. So I look at three things post-COVID: demand for public health, demand for public education, and sustainability in any production. Pro-nature, sustainability. So these three things would be, and in that public education would be a major point. So I look at higher budget and a budget for bridging the digital gap, which we have discussed. Second, on the delivery front, creation, delivery, and assessment, at all the levels of education, there will be a blended form of education. So digital and the physical will come together. I already said external online, foreign online plus domestic offline would be another model going ahead. Coming in of IT and ITES, IT-enabled services in education will go up, and it will come to school level, lower classes level as well. And there will be ways and means. My friend Aftab Asgar has 2 kids going in primary classes in Washington, and they are having online classes also, one in class 2, one in class 5. So there will be a sharing of best experiences, best practices from around the world on this particular aspect here. However, physical education would stay, and that will be a foundation particularly. I also look at some universities are talking, and even schools are talking. 5 days week can become 4 days. 1 day digital, 4 days physical. That could be one way of blending both together as we go ahead. Everything will depend on bridging the digital gap, digital divide.
Excellent. A lot of experimentations are going to come. Professor Tabrez Ahmed, your closing comments and the future of education system that you see post-corona.
I think there's a lot of scope for localization because people were, Ujjwal has mentioned the people going from West Bengal to South India and all, and also we have seen earlier people are going from North India to South India. But now North India has opened a lot of universities and a lot of colleges and provided the quality. People are not willing to step back. Because of this corona, outbreak, people now rethinking that to go to too far away from the house. So if we can provide locally good quality and good infrastructure, I think good scope for everybody to raise the standards and retain the student who are going outside the state or outside the country. Second thing is that what I see big challenge of the online content. Because even offline content, India is not very strong. All the top class books, whether it's law or medical science, engineering, belong to the people from the foreign countries. And what we can have scope, we can build up in the online content. Because today we have realized the importance of online content. Once we are shifted to this because of the COVID, the online model, all the good quality contents are still, it is sponsored based. We have to pay the price. And all the open sources is not very good quality. Okay, a lot of mistakes are there, data is not correct. And then learning cannot be foolproof. It should be foolproof and all. So that's why I see a lot of scope for quality education, localization of the universities, and also see the future of the developing very good online content that can be delivered at any point of time in any emergency.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Miss Roshee, your final comment with the impact that you see in Nepal. Yeah, you are in mute, I think. Yeah. Because Roshee, you have to unmute, I think. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the whole idea is now the teaching learning is going to be largely blended form, mixed methods, largely assisted by technology, and also at the same time trying to divide the technology and the digital divide, and primarily also try to see how we can ensure the behavioral modification on the part of the learners, because today's learning is going to be largely student centered, learner centered. So how do you enable that even in a digital platform or a virtual medium? That's going to be the key. So the online or the newer models of learning should be focusing on the behavioral modification of the learners and also as the teachers, because teachers who, it's also giving an opportunity for the teachers, educators like us to kind of learn, unlearn and relearn our older practices, so that we start conceptualizing new modes of communication, how we can communicate better as educators.
Right. Thank you so much, panelists. We had a lot of solutions, and every new challenge brings new solutions. There's no doubt this will definitely have long lasting impressions in the education sector specifically. And there are certain efforts going to come from the private sector as well as from the government sector. Thank you so much. Viewers, if you have any query, questions, do write us to our comment box. We will come back with answers shortly. Tomorrow we'll meet at the same time at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. And tomorrow we'll talk about what is the role of media and in this crisis, because media has been blamed for a lot of negativity and they have done a lot of damage as well as they have risked a lot of things during the corona crisis when we need to fight this fake news and as well as corona. The media did not play a fair job, so we'll have some renowned journalists tomorrow to talk on that. Thank you so much, panelists and viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.